Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our weekly live Q&As here. It's another Thursday. Hopefully, you guys are off to a good week and are going to have a good weekend ahead. So if you're new to this, we are going to answer all of your questions live right now for the next hour. We are going to start with some pre-submitted questions from last week's live Q&A, which again, if you want to be part of this like pre-submitted section before the live questions, make sure to save your questions and put them in the comments section. You can also add them right now in the chat as well so we can answer them live. But if you're watching this on the replay, then make sure to drop your questions in the comments below. But okay, what do you think? Do we just get right into it with our first question?
Yeah, Jake, what's our first question?
All right, our first pre-submitted question is a popular one. What's a good ROI to aim for? What are your thoughts here?
Well, firstly, I think it's a great question, of course, because it's related to profitability, and that's what we always talk about is really, I think, the most important thing, or one of the most important things. So the quick answer I would say is aim for 100% ROI or higher. What does that mean? That essentially means your return on investment, or for every dollar that you put in, what percentage do you get back? So 100% ROI would be you put in $1 and you get $2 back, or 100% return on your initial investment.
Right.
So if you spend $5 on a product, then you would want to get $10 in return. So that's what 100% ROI equals. Now, that's a good rule of thumb to aim for. You can, if you don't quite hit that, that's okay as well. But again, that's a good framework to aim for. But honestly, the higher, the better. And then, we've even been talking a lot about, everyone's been talking a lot about Amazon's increased fees, and just the cost of doing business, is always kind of increasing in a lot of different ways. So potentially you might even want to consider going a little bit higher, but that's like a good starting point. Anything to add there?
I wanted just to give you something else to kind of watch maybe after this Q&A is our main How to Sell on Amazon video. You can just go to our channel or type this in on YouTube to find this video. But if you use these chapter cards down below, you'll see there's a section here. Maybe zoom in if it's easier to see, but Factor 2, high profitability. We talk about it here as well as a few other places throughout the video, but this is the main part. And we have a few calculators that you can use to help determine what ROI or net margin, however you want to look at it, that you should aim for. And it really helps you understand all of your costs. So give this section of the video a watch and use these free resources that we have. It's going to be highly beneficial in helping you understand, what the potential profitability of any product will look like. So, love your answer, but just wanted to give you another sort of resource to watch after this as well.
Nice. What do we go next?
All right. Next pre-submitted question is, can I do product research by finding one keyword phrase with high demand and low competition? Okay. So this is interesting. It's using, we typically talk about sales estimates as, find these niches on Amazon with high demand, low competition, or medium competition. But now we're talking about keywords. So what are your thoughts on using keyword data to understand, demand and competition?
Yeah, I love that. I do like to layer and think it's really important and would recommend to everyone to layer keyword research within or as part of your product research. So yes, you want to find a product where that particular niche has a lot of demand, and you calculate your profitability, etc. But as part of that, before I would pull the trigger on any given product, I would always do keyword research to figure out what are the keywords that people are searching for to find that product. Sometimes even just to mix up product research, sometimes I begin there and essentially use keyword search volume or high keyword search volume as a proxy for demand. If there's 10,000 people searching for this product, then that's a good indicator to me of high demand as well. I would want to see that with the actual sales estimates as well, but definitely incorporating keyword research is definitely a good thing to do when you're doing product research. What I also like to look at is I want to see not just the highest keyword search volume, but what's sort of the depth, how many, what quantity of keywords are there that people are searching for to find that product. And I also like to ask myself, what are the chances that I can compete on those keywords?
Right.
A lot of the time, the very top keyword is going to be very hard to compete on, as it's usually got a ton of search volume, a lot of competition, but I like to see, are there other maybe slightly longer tail keywords that still have good search volume but are maybe easier to compete on? And if I see a lot of those, then I feel confident that, if I can win on all of these sort of longer tail keywords, then I can drive a lot of traffic and sales to my listing.
Yeah. And I wanted to kind of show an example here of how we did that here at Jungle Scout. So if you're not familiar, we sell this product on Amazon. There are these washable pee pads for dogs. And so what we did in the initial product research journey was use Keyword Scout, so Jungle Scout's keyword research tool, to figure out the level of demand that basically we can learn from search volume. So this column right here is showing you how often these keywords are being searched on Amazon, exactly how they're written out here. And so here's an example of washable pee pads for dogs having an insane amount of searches for it. Typically anything above 1,000 is pretty strong. And so what we did basically is, when we were initially looking for this product, we actually didn't start with the term washable. We started with pee pads for dogs. So we were just looking for the type of product. And so when you look that up here, there's a couple phrases that we could look at here: puppy pads, or pee pads for dogs, or even dog pads. So this is a very broad one. So let's click it real quick to see the type of products that show up. And so this is exactly what we saw. We saw a bunch of products. We scroll down to these first organic ones that are, these are, what do you call them? Non-reusable. So these are your disposable ones. You see the price points here, $10, $13. This one is an outlier because it's a big brand, but you can see these low price points and these types of products that are showing up. And if I scroll down here, I'm only seeing those exact same types of products and similar price points. And so this is interesting because we eventually found that this other term, washable pee pads for dogs, is way more narrowed down. And you can see here, all the products are washable. So to your point, this is a long tail keyword that we figured out. We could price between, it looks like $20 to $30. There are some products here that are way below that. But for the majority, if we actually open up the Jungle Scout extension, you can see the average price up here is about $27. So that to me is really helpful in understanding that this is a good keyword that is relevant to our product. It's in high demand, and it's something that we can actually work towards ranking on versus that dog pads keyword. So you want to find more of these. The goal is to find a couple angles or different search terms that have high search volume to it that you can compete on. So again, those indicators are price point and relevancy of the product that's on the page. So I think that's just hopefully a good example that you can use to do on your product research journey, is to actually look at the keywords that are being typed on Amazon and what products Amazon is displaying on the search results.
Love it.
Yeah, great question. All right, so this third question here is, what are the benefits of brand registry?
Oh, it's great. There's a lot of them now. I can't keep up, but one of the original ones and still one of the best ones is getting access to A+ content on your listing. That's where you get a lot more images, text, just like a really great, as you can see there, that's my dog Albus. You just get access to this, which is really great. You can add videos to your listing. What other benefits are there, Jake?
There's advanced advertising campaigns as well. So there's, I believe this is still the case, but there's different sponsor display targeting campaigns, different sponsored brand campaigns that you get access to. I believe if this is still the case, that without brand registry, you only get access to a few sponsored product campaigns, which are the majority of the ads you see on Amazon, but they're not inclusive of the video campaigns. There's a whole other component as well. So with brand registry, you're able to create a storefront, which customers can access by clicking on your listing, or you can send traffic to with these advertisements, both on Amazon and off Amazon. So we actually did a case study not too long ago on our YouTube channel where we tested out Google ads, and we directed a lot of our traffic to the storefront. It's this video right here in case you're curious. So we basically sent a lot of traffic to the storefront, which you get a lot of cool analytics on the back end in Seller Central. So that's a few benefits of brand registry. And then I think the bigger part there is because you have brand registry, that means you do have a trademark for your brand. So you're a little bit more, you have more control over your brand, and you can get people off of your listing if they're on your listing. So hijacking is kind of popular on Amazon. So that helps you kind of get them out of there quicker because you have a portal with Amazon support team that can just get them off there for you.
Perfect.
So a little more brand protection as well. All right, our last pre-submitted question before we get to your live questions here is it better to sell products with medium demand so that it's easier to stay in stock, or products with high demand, but it's also harder to stay in stock?
Yeah, interesting question.
Yeah.
For me, that's pretty easy. I'd always say go with high demand. Having high demand, a product that has high demand actually doesn't mean that you're going to be selling more necessarily.
Right.
And if you do have that problem where it's like, oh, I can't, I'm just selling so much that I keep running out of stock, that's probably the best problem that you can have on Amazon.
Yes. Yeah.
Running this business or any kind of business, you're going to have you're going to have problems. So of all the problems you could have, this is the one that I would want, is that my product is selling so well that it runs out of stock. So yeah, that wouldn't be a reason that I choose medium demand over high demand. There could be others if it was maybe significantly less competitive in a medium demand niche. I might go, okay, I'll sacrifice a little bit of demand if there's a much greater opportunity to capture and sell in there. But generally speaking, I would still, for the most part, err on the side of go with the one that has high demand, as that's something that you can't create.
Yes,
you can always spend more time and money to compete, but you can't. Yeah, you can't generate demand that isn't there.
And honestly, what I would say too is I see this so often where people are talking about going out of stock before launching the product or before really finishing their product research. And I do think it's one of these mental blockers that stops you from just getting started on Amazon. And so what I would say is in your first year, really, don't worry about going out of stock. Ideally, you don't go out of stock, but that's pretty much reserved for people that have huge budgets, that are able to start selling on Amazon with maybe $10,000 at minimum. And so they have that luxury of ordering, the second and third round of inventory right after right after each other. If you don't have that luxury, don't worry about it. Save that for year 2 where you're trying to optimize your business. Just get started now, go out of stock, and then when you have the funds available, buy the second round of inventory, go out of stock, and just rinse and repeat. And eventually you get to a point where your cash flow is so positive and it's coming in at a more predictable rate that you're able to either do some sort of lending to help with funding your inventory, or you're actually able just to afford it from your previous sale. So don't worry about inventory in the beginning. Worry about it after year 1, because it is one of these blockers that I think a lot of people think about and prevents them from selling because they have fear of going out of stock.
Yeah, I love the confidence there that you're worried about going out of stock. I'm like, I've never had that issue. I've been worried about, can I sell one of these damn units? Like, I'm worried about making sales. I'm not worried about running out of inventory.
Yeah.
That's really your first problem, is like, can you sell this product? I'd be more worried about that.
But hey, I mean, yeah, to your point, one more thing on this is like, you can't create demand. You can always mitigate competition by improving your product to truly stand out in a crowded market. You can brand better. You can market better. You can even lower your costs by going to your supplier and cutting down or changing suppliers or cutting down the materials that you're using or the sizing. Or there's so many ways to just be more efficient. But the one thing you can't do is tell millions of more people to go on Amazon, type in a keyword phrase, and buy if they're not already doing it. So
yeah, one other thing actually I can add here to kind of give more value. I'm trying to think, what scenarios would there be that I would choose something with less demand? Well, firstly, high demand is very important. I would pretty much always say go for high demand, but there are still varying levels. There's, maybe 300-400 units per month is still high demand, but there's also 500, 1,000 units per month. You can always go find something with insane demand. So what reasons would you go for less? Mentioned competition, although again, that's maybe not the greatest reason to go down in demand, but I would say like overall risk and capital is maybe how I'd categorize it. So if the extremely high demand product, maybe it costs $15 per unit, but if I just sacrifice a little bit of demand, still a good amount there, but maybe I can get something for $5 per unit. So now maybe my initial order is $4,000 versus $10,000. To me, that might be a good reason to go, okay, I can still get a lot of good demand, but my risk and my upfront capital is significantly less, or maybe that's all I can afford. So yeah, maybe like just however you determine like risk and budget is maybe, you know, those are maybe more better reasons to be kind of weighing up the product. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Also, if you want more guidance on product research and you're liking this live Q&A series on YouTube, you're going to love a series that we did not too long ago. If you go to our main YouTube channel here, you take a long scroll down, you'll see this Amazon product research live playlist here where Lenny and I just live show you how to do product research. And we actually find products in each of these episodes that are good starting points and that would be really good to potentially sell. So that's a really good playlist. We have a bunch of episodes that you can access here. And then we have a bunch more playlist as well. I think one of the best ones in this on this topic is how to find a product to sell on Amazon. And specifically, this video is a good starting point. So definitely use all of our free resources to your advantage on the topic of product research.
All right. Are we onto the live questions now? Is that
yes,
right?
We are on to live questions. If you're just now joining, or anybody really, make sure to drop your questions down in the chat right now if you're watching live. And if you're watching in the replay, make sure to drop your questions in the comments so that we can bring those over to next week's live Q&A. All right, so let's go back to the very beginning here and start with our first question. This one is, I'm thinking of creating my own Shopify website and putting it in my own Amazon affiliate links from my FBA store. Okay. Do you know anything about this topic?
Let's see. So you're putting in your own Amazon affiliate link.
So basically, I think you're trying to get the affiliate income from bringing people from Shopify to Amazon to buy your product. Basically, can you like essentially double dip? Like, can you get the sales revenue from Amazon from your product, but then also get the affiliate revenue from Shopify or whoever's doing the affiliate, or maybe it's Amazon? Can you get that as well?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've heard this question in the past, and I can't remember sort of the answer there. I feel like people do and have done that. The alternate, though, that comes to mind is using a brand referral bonus link, which is probably potentially going to be... Actually, I think it would actually work out...
the same way.
Well, actually, I was going to say more money.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it's, you'd be getting like 10%, is it 10% off your
referral fees?
Your referral fee. So you would actually make or save, however you look at it, more money by doing that than just getting an affiliate commission on your product, which would just be 2, 3, 4%.
Yes.
So you would actually, but that's on the entire sales price. I don't know, but what we're talking about is as part of brand registry, or it is part of brand registry, I believe.
Maybe. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah.
You can generate special links on Seller Central, and you use those links whenever you're driving people to Amazon from off of Amazon. So this could be on your Shopify store. This could be using ads, blogging, YouTube, TikTok, etc. If people click on that link and then buy the product on Amazon, Amazon will reward you for bringing traffic from outside of Amazon onto their platform, and they reward you by giving you a discount on your Amazon FBA fees. So it's called the brand referral bonus, and that would be maybe the alternate to using your affiliate link. I don't know the numbers of like which one would work out a little bit better, but brand referral bonus is what Amazon is encouraging people to do because they want you to be, driving people from off the platform onto it.
Yep. It's basically probably going to work out the same way. Actually, if I remember correctly, I don't think the Amazon wants you to do that or allows it to double dip essentially.
Yeah, probably not.
But if you want to learn more on this topic, we have a great article on our website. Just kind of come up to our resources here, click blog, or use a search to search for anything really. But we have a good article here. Amazon's got a great article and more information about it. And then again, this video that we did a case study on running ads to Amazon talks about that as well. So maybe check out this video if you're still curious.
Perfect.
But great question. Another question, can you talk about different PPC launch campaigns? It's a good question, yeah. So I think what, we've documented this in the past with some videos, but what we did when we launched our latest product, that the washable pee pads for dogs, is we had a strategy where we just let it all loose. Like we created campaigns for almost every type of campaign type we could. Sponsored product campaigns, auto manual, within manual, we did keyword campaigns, we did ASIN targeting campaigns, we did sponsored brand campaigns, all the different types of sponsored brand campaigns, including video. And then we even tested sponsored display campaigns. And if you know anything about those campaigns, there's like 20 different ways that you could target customers within that one campaign set. Now, the reason we kind of did this all-out approach was in the early stages, you just want to collect data and figure out what's working and what's not working. And then what you're able to do then is just lower what's not working and increase what is working. But you won't know what that is until you get the data back. And so that was our goal for the first couple of weeks, is to just like sell as much as we could and don't worry about profit. And because that was our goal, to sell as much and not worry about profit right away, that allowed us to spend a lot of money testing, which is like a code word for losing money. But at the end of the day, it was so valuable and it allowed us to actually make money or be more efficient with advertising once we fine-tuned it.
Yeah. So I want to hear your thoughts if you think this is on the right track. So, okay, going back to basic step by step, yes, you do want to use using advertising is definitely important and is very, very valuable when launching your product. I would just say, yes, you should be doing that. Now, how much do you do? That's going to be very, very dependent on what your budget is, how much money you can afford to spend. So whatever your budget is, however much you think you can spend on a daily basis, monthly, etc., on average, what I would suggest is potentially spending more or trying to increase that at the very beginning. Let's say you determine that, like, okay, I can afford to spend $30 or $60 a day is on average what I think I can spend. I would say to maybe aim to try to spend more of that, or like maybe front load more of your budget upon launch to try to get really quick velocity. And this is where I'm curious to hear if you agree or think this makes sense or not, because that's what we ended up doing. Like once our campaign settled down, I can't remember, it was 50, 60, 80, $100. I can't remember what it was per day, but at the very beginning, we essentially had no limits. And there was at one point where one of the first days we ended up spending like $1,200 in that day. Now, we're not saying that you need to spend that much, but I think it seemed like the more we spent up front, there's this idea that Amazon gives you this sort of grace period, honeymoon period, where you get more bang for your buck at the very beginning. And so I think because we spent more, like we front loaded more of our budget and had crazy, really pushed the limits at the beginning, that paid off better than, say, spreading that out over 30 days, 60 days. Do you think that's good advice?
Yeah, at least
makes sense.
It makes sense. I'm curious whether it's like good advice for every product. I would still recommend doing it. I think we got lucky because we did that like huge push in the very beginning. We got a new release badge on our listing, and that was a huge reason that our conversion rate just went from like nothing to very good really quickly. And so we actually like almost stopped advertising because we got that badge. And that badge, having that, put us in organic placements on Amazon. So it actually brought us to a page on Amazon called like the best new releases that people browse. And so we actually dialed back our advertising campaigns and saved a lot of money after that initial push. But like in our case, it did work, I guess, going all out and being really aggressive during that honeymoon phase. So yes, I would 100% do it again. To your point, you just need to kind of realize how much you have for the budget. But keep in mind, if you're able to sell, Amazon takes those sales and basically, if you spent $1,000 and you made $500, then you only owe Amazon the difference, so $500. So that's what happened to us. We did spend a lot, but we didn't actually pay it at the time. Amazon just took our sales, and then we paid if there was a difference, which I think there was, but it wasn't that drastic. It wasn't like we were paying thousands of dollars a week. We were paying maybe hundreds of dollars to Amazon every 2 weeks or so, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and also just to clarify as well, I'm not saying that like if you're comfortable with $50 a day to skyrocket that to $200, $500 or more, it's more so just saying that you likely will see get better results in the beginning. So any amount that you can increase at the beginning is more likely to give you benefits. So whatever that be, it might only be a couple of dollars, but like anything more that you can invest at the beginning is a good time to do it.
Yeah, good question. All right, let's move on to this next question here from Gabe. Gabe's question is, I launched a video campaign based on last week's discussion. Awesome, great work. Cost per click is around $2 per click. That's actually not bad. How do you gauge if the campaign is successful? Because I'd expect a higher ACoS initially. Yes, so I think you're right on the money here. You're just wondering, is ACoS the best way of gauging if it's working? There's a couple answers here. I think like if you want to see if your advertising is working, yes, ACoS is the best way to realize that. So you can basically find your break-even ACoS. We have a lot of content on this. If you want to learn how to do that, just type in break-even ACoS on YouTube, or if you go to Jungle Scout's website, you can type that term in as well, and you'll find an article. But find that break-even ACoS. Maybe that's 30%. The minute you're over that, you're losing money. The minute you're under that, you're still making money with ad spend. It's okay to be over that if your goal is to generate sales. That's completely okay, because if you're still getting organic sales, that should make up for the fact that you're losing a little bit of money with advertising. And so that metric now is called TACoS. So those are the two metrics that you want to look at. ACoS is good for advertising only. TACoS, which is total advertising cost of sales, is basically looking at how your advertising spend is increasing or decreasing your overall sales. So, it's the
flywheel?
The flywheel, wow. The butterfly effect, or the flywheel effect, whatever you want to call it. That means basically on Amazon, when you're feeding the machine with advertising, Amazon typically will reward you with organic rankings. So that's what TACoS looks at, is how your advertising is affecting your organic sales. So I would keep that in mind too. Maybe one more thing to look at is your click-through rates. That to me is always very important, because if you have a bunch of keywords in a campaign, it's hard to sort of see, the overall click-through rate. That doesn't really tell me much. But if you look at individual click-through rates on those keywords, you'll say, oh, wow, these keywords are actually like, when people see my product, when they type in that keyword, I'm getting their clicks more than these other keywords. And so that's another indicator of like, which keywords you should maybe focus more of your time on and energy on. So that's another metric that I would look at, is click-through rate.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, but awesome. Good for you using video campaigns. In my experience, those are the most profitable campaigns. They just don't spend as much or get as much sales just because there's one placement on the page versus, like 20 other placements that you can get elsewhere. So awesome. Yeah, good for you. All right, next question. Based on your experience, will you recommend a baby wipes product to someone who is new selling on Amazon? So would we recommend essentially selling in the baby category, and specifically baby wipes?
I think the baby category, is very popular. There's like a lot of demand there. People are probably willing to spend a lot of money on baby-related products. Baby wipes specifically, I personally wouldn't sell, as it's kind of a disposable product. I don't really know how you would differentiate that or be able to sell it in the long term. You might be able to make some money in the short term, but I like to look for products that I can differentiate to some degree and try to make something a little bit different to what's already on the market. Yeah. If you could find that angle with baby wipes, then maybe, but I don't know what that would be. I sort of feel like that's just something, people just want the baby wipes as they are, and they'll probably just buy. Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say the buy based on cost. Maybe they would. Maybe there's other things that market cares about, whether they're like, I don't know, eco-friendly or soft, or I don't know.
Well, I was going to say that's I think probably a category. Now I'm not a parent myself, but if I were, I would probably buy from a few specific brands. Because it's like, that's your baby. You want to make sure you're not going to give them a cheap product that has irritants on it or something. And I would probably only go to like the 4 or 5 name brands that you see in commercials, like Charmin or whatever those actual name brands are. And so for me, that would probably be a brand agnostic category where people are very brand loyal to like the brands, and it's harder for an unknown brand to break in. But maybe what you could do here, and this could be relevant for any category, not just baby wipes. So if everyone's listening, they're like, hey, why are you guys just talking about baby wipes for 5 minutes? This is relevant for any category. Think about maybe those less brand loyal categories similar to this product. So maybe there's things or products out there that can hold baby wipes, like a baby wipe container, or a more efficient way of taking the wipes out, or a more stylish way. And there you could actually make an improvement to like this, to the look of it, to the functionality. But you're probably now in a category that like a parent doesn't care about buying a brand name product. You're actually just trying to appeal to like the usability or to the design that someone's looking for.
Right.
But maybe try to avoid those type of categories where people are very brand loyal.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, great question. On to the next one. Could you please explain product validation? Yeah, this is. Feel free to kind of like be more specific. Hopefully, we're going to answer this correctly. But I assume you mean when you're researching a product, how can you validate whether it's a good or bad opportunity? Yeah, any initial thoughts? I guess this is more of like a higher level question, but there's certainly some things that we could provide here.
High level, it's sort of like you've got the checklist of these are the attributes of a good product, and we talk about that a lot in our product research videos, which Jake has mentioned earlier. You can find lots of those on our channel. Essentially, it's like this is a checklist of all the things that make a good product, and product validation is just kind of going through that list and seeing how many boxes does this product tick, or where on the scale does it fit, and you essentially do that with the top products that you're considering, and you pick the product that's going to have the best balance of those attributes. Generally, it's not going to be 100% perfect and tick all the boxes, so you have to kind of weigh up the pros and cons. Like, wow, maybe this one by far has the most demand, and this one here has lower demand, but this one's cheaper. So it's like, oh, do I go with the one that's like a little bit cheaper up front, but not as much demand, or the one with high demand, but maybe it costs more, or it's more competitive? So there's always going to be pros and cons to all the opportunities. So I would go through the product research checklist and, find the product that ticks the most boxes.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I sort of do product validation in 2 steps, and so this is sort of past like the product ideation stage where it's like you're like, what should I sell? You use Jungle Scout to figure out like 20 different types of products you could sell, and now you're in like the validation phase of figuring out, is it a good or bad idea? The first phase that I have to go into is like, is this product gonna like kill me? And not literally kill me, but like, is it going to like, is there something that can like just totally throw me off? Is it like, could I get sued with this product? Is it like way too cheap and easy for people to come in and just like copy me, or to do the same thing because I'm not doing anything original with it? Basically just trying to find things that would just be like deal breakers. And then once I sort of like, certain products will definitely leave and be in that category. Now I have like a short list of products to look at. The next sort of phase I'm in is like, okay, which one of these are the best product? And so you're sort of being strict on yourself. I'm not going to do any more product research. I'm only going to do product validation, and sort of, like you said, have all these factors like high demand, low competition, room for improvement, profitability, whatever. But now you're sort of like giving them rank, and you're saying this product's like a 9 out of 10 there, 8 out of 10 there. And then you're kind of looking at all those factors and making it a judgment of which one you think would be best to sell, or easiest to sell, or that you actually just would be more passionate selling. So those are my 2 phases of product validation, and certainly there's a lot that goes into it.
I was just going to say the other big part in the validation stage would involve the supplier getting real quotes, getting samples, etc. Those are the things you obviously need to do before you can make the final decision. So that would be a big part of that particular stage.
Definitely. Yeah. And feel free to watch a lot of our content. We got some really cool, helpful videos on this. I think I've mentioned it before. But this video is really helpful. 5 best ways to find a product to sell. This one too, it's sort of like a mini how to sell on Amazon. I think it's really helpful. And yeah, we got a bunch of product research videos, but yeah, these are some good ones if you're looking for the next video to watch after this. Great question.
Okay.
Trying to find my spot back here. Rainmaker 3D ask. I have Jungle Scout and have used the tools and watched every video on Academy. Awesome, thank you. I make my own products in the U.S. that I 3D print. Oh, that's so cool. Do you have any tips for U.S. manufacturers? You're in a really cool spot. I would love to be you right now because you don't have to worry about ordering from China or anywhere else and waiting all that time, and storage and inventory is a lot easier.
I mean, if you're in control of your own manufacturing, there's nothing I'd recommend doing differently. It's more so just like follow all the steps that we typically talk about, but you're going to have an easier time with what's typically one of the hardest things is getting the product made and shipped from overseas. That's generally like the manufacturing, and the shipping is often where a lot of the headaches are concerned. Like the headaches are in this whole process, and you've probably alleviated most of that. So you wouldn't really do, I can't think of anything you do too different. It's just that you're going to have a much easier time with the shipping and so forth. Maybe your biggest problem might actually be the one we talked about earlier, might be like keeping up with the demand and being able to print enough units to stay in stock, that could be biggest problem.
Maybe like a separate piece of advice here, because again, I sort of envy this situation. I think a lot of people do, that you have, is think about your unfair advantages that you have. You have the ability to print your inventory, and now you have the ability of quickly getting into Amazon versus, again, like buying from overseas. So think about like what you can do differently. Like keep stacking that upon itself. So one thing that would be awesome to do that you have that we can't do is customize products. So you could sell a customized product that somebody wants for their bachelor party, and they want to get 10 things with different names on them for their bridal party or the groomsmen. Think about that, because then you can actually like store those products at your house, not send them into FBA and worry about everything that's going on right now with increased fees, because people are willing to wait a little bit longer for these customized products. They understand somebody's actually customizing it, a lot like when you're buying a product on Etsy. And so that's hopefully one idea to get your gears turning. Maybe you're already doing that. But yeah, I would say think of your unfair advantage. And this goes for everybody too, not just Rainmaker 3D here, but like think of what you have that could help you versus somebody that just doesn't have your knowledge, your expertise, your background, whatever it is that gives you an unfair advantage. I would just take advantage of that.
Yeah, I suppose your question is probably more like how to think about is like, how can I scale if this first product is selling quite well? It's like, I don't know, I'm not really familiar with 3D printing, but it's like, okay, do you then start, like if you validated the product, do you invest in more 3D printers? Do you expand to print different types of products? Like Jake said, I think you're in like a really cool spot with a lot of possibilities. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, next question here. Could you please explain how to forecast demand? Forecast demand will be the same / good enough for certain periods to find your product. So essentially, I think what this question is asking is like, if you're looking at a product, like how can you forecast that same level of demand will happen throughout the year? Is that what you're getting out of this?
Yeah, and I think the answer, I don't know if you've got anything different, but tools like Jungle Scout will give you historical sales data for, depending on the product, up to 2 years. So you can essentially see a product's sales history, and you can do that. You can look at a particular niche, which is sort of analyzing a keyword. Or you can like look at individual products within that niche, and you can kind of see how it trends over the year, so that you can start to get a sense of like, does it sell more in particular seasons or not? And then you can essentially forecast based off of that. If you're considering a product and you can see, okay, it sells a lot more in Q4, and you can basically you can basically forecast based off of that, because you obviously haven't sold the product, so you can use other products in the market as a proxy.
Yeah, I'm just showing an example here of like using 2 years of data is awesome. You can also go back 1 year, but 2 years is amazing. So if you have the highest Jungle Scout plan account, you do get 2 years. So I highly recommend it. If you're on the Suite plan, you maybe want to upgrade to the Pro plan. You will get 2 years of data, and you can see here, like, despite having some peaks and valleys, the worst month that this product has is 6,000. And I'm not including April because we're still in April, but this is a good way of looking at demand all throughout the year by going back to the past 2 years of data.
Yeah, let's just take credit for that. This is one of our competitors, so maybe we did that. Maybe we're taking their sales.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely try to get as much data as you can to validate all throughout the year kind of what demand looks like, so that you're not getting into a seasonal trap of, and then you got to really worry about inventory and inventory planning there.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So I think there's 2 questions he had a follow up. So let me, I'll go back to it. Is a really well built meta keyword listing enough to be successful along with a decent product? Debating if I need to invest into marketing campaign. Let me double check that. I saw, So then to clarify my question, my listing keyword search volume is around 10 million, and most of those are easy to rank for. I would like to know if that will be enough to generate enough organically. So it sounds like, is the fact that you have a lot of keywords with high search volume enough to grow organically? Is that hopefully the question you're asking?
Yeah, if that is the question, I mean, like 10 million is an insane amount of search volume. So assuming that all of those keywords are very relevant for this one product that you're looking to sell, then that's way more than enough. Even even keywords individually that are in the thousands or even tens of thousands and so forth are still great opportunities. So it sounds overall like there's a lot of great search volume there.
Yeah, and I'm actually going back to the first question here as well. Like the last part of this is debating if I really need to invest into marketing. So I assume maybe you're thinking like, okay, there's a lot of organic search volume for my keywords. Is that enough to just anticipate me getting a small sliver of that 10 million? Or do I need to actually pump in people through ads? And I would say like you definitely need to pump traffic in through ads unless your product is already ranked well organically. If it's not, then yeah, you will, because there's a lot of parts of this. It's the way I like to think of Amazon, and it's way more nuanced than this, but if you just want to dumb it down, which I love doing, is there's 3 metrics that matter. There's impressions, there's clicks, and then there's conversions. So the first thing is impressions, which is people. And you got to get out in front of those people. So even if there's 10 million people that you can get out in front of, you're actually not getting out in front of them unless you have either ads or your organic ranking is very, very high. And typically that comes as a result of a history of using Amazon ads. So I would say you still need to use advertising on Amazon to get out in front of those impressions. And then you kind of go up the path of like, okay, now how do I get them to click my product, click-through rate, and then how do I get them to buy my product, conversion rate, things that you do with your listing. So yeah, I would still say despite how many search volume or people there are out there, you still need to get in front of them, which advertising is the best way of doing.
Yeah, totally. Makes sense.
Hopefully that answers your question. All right, next question here. I have a low budget and can't afford $1,500 for the Amazon IP Accelerator program, which if you're not aware, that's a program that helps you get trademarked on Amazon. So next part of this question, can I start with a non-US trademark to get brand registry on Amazon? Once I've made some money selling, then do IP Accelerator?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if you know. I don't know if you can use a non-US trademark to get brand registry in the US.
I have a feeling the answer is no. Don't quote me on that, but I think you would need to have a trademark in the country that you're selling in. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, we don't know for certain, but that would be my feeling as well.
If you,
and I mean, that's maybe the first part is we think that you would need to have it registered in the US, but if you were able to use it, then you wouldn't need to get the IP Accelerator later. Once you get into brand registry, if you can do that with the trademark that you already have in a different country, then you wouldn't need the IP Accelerator on top of that if you do manage to get in. But that's the part that we're not sure about.
If you didn't have the $1,500, that's okay. You could probably learn how to do your own trademark. It's just going to take some research hours and maybe some trial and error, which could be expensive. But I would maybe look into getting creative and figuring out how you can do your own trademark, because it is possible to do. Good question. Move on to the next one here.
Okay.
Also, with current situation on ocean shipping, from your experience, how long is it currently taking to get products from China to the US? That's a tough one to answer broadly because it depends on the product, your supplier, like you mentioned or alluded to, like the current shipping situation. I think for us, we actually have documented this of how long it takes to get from our supplier's warehouse once they're ready to send the product and how long it gets to arrive at Amazon. For us, it ranges anywhere from like 40 days if we're lucky to like, 3 to 4 months if it's like peak hours, or peak season. So I would always just like, in my mind, I think it's gonna take 3 months to get there.
Yeah.
And then hopefully it gets there earlier. But like I just give myself that 3-month shipping buffer.
Yeah. I think, exactly. I don't know that we can give like a specific answer because I honestly don't know and it varies. But to your point, I think the takeaway here is just to allow a very healthy buffer.
Yeah.
Whatever you think it is, just I won't say double it, but extend it.
Because Amazon too, like it takes a long time to get into Amazon. Like it could arrive at the parking lot of the fulfillment center that it needs it to be at, but it could take another 2 weeks to actually get in there. So you got to keep that in mind. I always try to plan for longer. Again, 3 months is my what I just think of always is 3 months.
Right.
Hey, thanks for I'm glad you're enjoying these live sessions. I'm glad you're enjoying our YouTube channel and the software. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the nice words. Appreciate it.
I love hearing that. Yeah. Okay, so question here about running Facebook ads for my generic product, and the account is individual.
Yeah, I would say I would break this down into two parts. So can you run Facebook ads? Yes, you absolutely can. We spoke earlier about the brand referral bonus, which is you create a special link for your product on Seller Central, and if you use that in your Facebook or like your ad campaigns, Google ads, Facebook ads, TikTok, whatever, or from a blog or from YouTube videos, from anything off of Amazon, you will get a discount on your Amazon FBA fees because Amazon wants you to drive traffic from off of Amazon. So that's the first part. You absolutely can. Actually, maybe there's three things I want to mention. So that's the first thing. You can use Facebook ads. Mm-hmm. The second part I will say is if you're brand new, I would actually suggest you stay on Amazon, use Amazon advertising, and just stay within the Amazon ecosystem when you're first starting out, because typically you're going to get a lot better results by advertising on Amazon and trying to focus on Amazon related efforts first. We generally see people sort of going on to off Amazon marketing efforts once they are already established on Amazon and they're, kind of starting to tap out everything they can on Amazon because let's say you can drive, it costs you, say, $5 in advertising to drive a sale on Amazon. It's probably going to be more with a Facebook ad. It's probably going to be $7, $8, $9 per sale. It's probably going to be more expensive to drive from Facebook ads. So that's the second part, I would say. Mm-hmm. The third part I wanted to call out here is you said for a generic product. I don't know how generic you mean, but if you literally mean like it's a generic product that hasn't been differentiated or maybe doesn't even have a logo or any sort of branding, I would highly recommend at least putting your logo and some unique branding on there, but really more so trying to find something to differentiate with your product, whether that's bundling it with another item that's useful for people or getting the product made in a slightly different way that solves the customer's problems. The reason why is if you're literally selling a generic product, it's going to be very hard for you to capture sales and stand out. And if you do, it'll only be for a moment in time, and it's just very hard to do that on Amazon today. There was a time where you could just sell a generic product, just put it up and it would sell. But you essentially can't do that today. It's incredibly difficult, and Amazon doesn't want you to do that either. So I sort of caution against an overly generic product.
That's a great answer.
And I suppose actually maybe we'll add a fourth thing. Your account is individual. That's totally fine. With an individual account, you don't get some of the benefits of like advertising. Plus, if you're planning to sell more than 40 units per month, then I would recommend upgrading to the professional plan, but you can do that at any point. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
Okay. Got our next question here. If something is popular on YouTube, but it's still low demand on Amazon, could this be a good entry point using YouTube ads? And then you can make something popular. You can make some popular products with this. So essentially using YouTube data to inform what you should sell on Amazon.
I think that's really cool thinking, and it's probably worth trying out. The one thing that comes to mind is we recently did a survey of over 1,000 consumers in the US called our Consumer Trends Report for Q1. And what was interesting was seeing how TikTok trends were influencing Amazon products. So obviously TikTok has their TikTok shop. There's a lot of e-commerce and an increasing number of product sales and things happening on TikTok. But what is interesting is how some of those trends are affecting Amazon. And we've seen like a lot of TikTok trends. People are searching for that product on Amazon. So we are seeing that influence from TikTok over on Amazon. And, I think there's a good chance that we will see or are seeing or increasingly will see, that same kind of thing happen potentially from YouTube or other platforms. So I definitely think this is an interesting idea. If you're going to sell a brand new product, I still would want to validate that there is existing demand now to some degree, even if you could see that, like, it's emerging on Amazon. If it's not there at all, you can you can be the first to market if you like, but just know that you're taking on more risk. Obviously, if it's not already there, you're sort of taking a bet, and you are using data from YouTube,
Right.
but obviously it's more of a risk than if you can see that there's demand on Amazon right now. I think those are my thoughts.
Yeah, couldn't say any better. Awesome. All right, next question here. The pet space, is that a good category on Amazon? Yes, it is. Yeah, the pet space is awesome.
A little bit biased. This is where we're selling right now.
Yeah,
right?
We sell products in the pet space, and we love it because people love buying for their pets. And just like their babies or friends and family, they don't have a budget. So it is a good category. You could think about other categories as well like this, not just pet products, that people are willing to spend more money on. And price isn't the only thing that they care about. So there's a lot of categories or niches out there that are the opposite of that, where if you're buying rubber bands, for example, who cares like what it is? Just give me the cheapest rubber bands I can find and for the highest quantity. But if you're selling pet products, certain niches within there, it's great to sell because, again, people don't care about price as much as just like the functionality or design of it.
Yeah, what I like about it, and it applies to some other categories as well, but I like that one way to differentiate and compete is often on design. So you mightn't have to necessarily differentiate the functionality all the time. It might be something like, oh, we're going to make a new design that people find really cute or really want, to have. So it just gives you more ways to differentiate some of the products in that category.
Yeah. Okay, here. Can you explain the best shipping rates for FBM? I made a table because shipping is so high on products I send out to Amazon, but Amazon keeps telling me that my products don't have competitive pricing. And then a follow-up here was other sites like Mercari and eBay seem to have more simplified methods for setting shipping rates. Yeah, this is a tough one because, Amazon... They don't make it easy, but it's great that you created a table for yourself. I think that's going to be helpful for you. But no, I can't give you the best rates only because it's so dynamic. It depends on your product, the sizing. We did a few videos on this actually. So a recent video is this one here, which kind of shows you a little bit more of how to ship and package products for FBM. And then I believe actually if you just type in FBM on our channel, we have another video that sort of walks more through the back end on Seller Central and how to set it up. So these are two really good videos here. But coming back to your question, it's very dynamic with your product. So that would be a hard one for us to give you a pricing example for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. Amazon's telling you that your products, your price isn't competitive. So yeah, unfortunately, we need to know a little more information. But this is a tough question to answer, I think, because it's so dynamic. Great. So question here by David. What's the fastest way for a brand to increase their sales rank?
Get lots of sales.
Get lots of sales, yeah. I mean, that's actually it. Simplified it down to the smallest or easiest way to understand. It's sales velocity is the smarter or more lingo term that we could use here. Sales velocity is how Amazon will determine where your product ranks on Amazon. So if you get let's say tomorrow you wake up, you typically get 5 sales a day. Let's say tomorrow you get 20. The day after that you get 20. The day after that you get 15. That's significantly more than your 5 that you typically get. Your BSR, your bestseller rank, will significantly increase because Amazon's hey, this is a hot product right now. We need to get it in front of more people. And so they'll reward you by having this insane sales velocity. So that's in a joking way, that's the way to do it is to sell more. But then it's okay, well, how do you sell more? I think it's what we talked about already today. Advertising on Amazon is the fastest way to go from 0 to 100 or from 20 to 100 or whatever, because you're skipping the line and you're putting your product, which wouldn't normally be at the top of search results, in that position.
Mm.
There are other ways that just take more time and effort, like creating off Amazon content that gets people to Amazon. But I think for every sale that you would get coming from off Amazon, you'd get like 10 times that by focusing on Amazon, because people are on there to shop. They're not in there to like be entertained or scroll like TikTok or Instagram, but on Amazon, they're there to buy. So I think your best time is spent increasing your ad campaigns, and maybe dropping a little bit of your profitability. So if you're, break even ACOS is like 50%, don't be afraid to go up to like 60% just to kind of increase your sales velocity a little bit.
Yeah.
But I would focus a lot on advertising.
Yeah, and like the word there isn't just sales, but like velocity. So not just getting the sales, but getting them in a shorter window of time.
Yeah.
Which is why we were talking earlier about potentially like kind of front loading more of your advertising efforts and going more aggressive in a shorter period of time. So let's say that you could get, 500 sales from advertising across a month.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking about your sales rank, you're likely going to get more benefits for your sales rank by getting that 500 sales rather than just doing an even amount of budget per day, is by actually doing and getting more of those sales at the beginning. So whatever the math is, rather than like 20 or 30 sales a day every day, if you can get 50, 100 sales early on, that increased sales velocity early on is more likely to impact your sales rank. Of course, as soon as you pull back that velocity, and maybe then you pull back your advertising because you can't maintain that, your ranking might go back down again. But hopefully what you would see is that it increases your organic rank enough that you maintain some of that increased rank, if that makes sense. So that's why Jake's saying, when you're doing those targeted efforts with your advertising, don't worry as much about your profitability, because your goal at that point in time isn't profitability. It's, I want to increase my sales rank. And in order to do that, I might need to lose a bit of money, but the upside is that it's going to increase my sales rank, and then I'm going to be more profitable as a result over time, organically, because I, was more aggressive in this window of time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I know, maybe I can hang back. What do you think? I know we got a meeting here. We're meant to clock off here any second now, but what do you think? I could probably hang back for a little bit if you wanted to catch the meeting, or what do you think?
Let's see.
Quite a few more, but can we do this?
Yeah, maybe let's take a couple more questions here.
Okay, we'll do a couple more. We do have a meeting we got to catch. So if we don't answer your questions right now in these last couple of minutes, then feel free to add them to the comment section of this video when the live ends, and then we'll carry them over into next week's questions. And then we also answer them in the comments there. So if you need like a speedy reply, we'll text out a response as well before next week's video. But this one here, can you explain why Jungle Scout is better than Helium 10? I could do it, or I could just maybe show you like the best way to get this answer. Is to go to this blog post, and I'll actually put it in the comments here, or in the chat here. But we have an awesome article that kind of compares the two, and it's talking a lot about, there's some subjective things in here that you can keep in mind, but a lot of this stuff is very objective, and so we look at things like accuracy of between the two tools. We do some case studies to do that. We obviously will show you the different tools in there. The different pricing is obviously, I think, one of the biggest things that a lot of sellers think about. We're a way more affordable option compared to Helium 10. So the article that I just linked is the best way to answer this question. It'll probably take us an hour to go over everything in that article, but hopefully you get a lot of value from reading that, and get a better understanding of the two different tools.
Yeah, cool.
Got a question here. It's all a few times, but so we'll answer it. Any new strategies for winning the buy box? And I believe the seller is a arbitrage seller. So we've talked a lot about in our videos, whether it's wholesale or arbitrage, when you're competing for the buy box, there's a lot of things to keep in mind. Price point is typically a big one. Are you within 2% of the lowest price? The seller's ratings. If you're, have a bad experience with customers and your ratings are low, it's going to be a lot harder for you to win in the buy box, or if they have more ratings than you. And there's a few other things as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. Like, oh yeah, your shipping speed, if you're using Prime or not, or how fast it'll get to the customer. And so, to be honest with you, there's probably a few more that I can't think of now. But all you really need to think about, the main thing that Amazon's using to rotate you in the buy box is what is going to make the customer buy. And if they see that there's a faster shipping time, a cheaper price, and there's more of a positive history of this seller selling that product in good condition and fast, then Amazon will favor that seller in the buy box. So just really think of it from Amazon's perspective. How can they make the offer be, how can they make the customer feel better about the offer? And so I would just think about that. And I think those are the three major things to consider. Yeah,
that makes sense
for winning the buy box.
Cool. All right. Well, maybe I will sign off. I'll say goodbye to everyone. Jake can stay on a little bit longer. But hopefully we added some value. Let us know with some thumbs up down below. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next live stream.
Oh, cool. I'll see you in a couple minutes. And
yes.
I'll just be on here for maybe a couple more questions because I wanted to maybe just get these last ones answered here. So yeah, let's go through this. I'll do a little rapid fire if that's okay with you guys. So Henry asked, what are good levels of ROAS and ACoS on ad spend? So it all comes down to break even to ACoS. I would try to understand that phrase as best as you can. Do more research on YouTube. You can use our Jungle Scout website to find, I believe actually if you probably just type in break even, it should come up. But yeah, essentially, I'm not seeing it here, but you could literally just go on Google and type in break even ACoS Amazon, and you'll see a lot of different articles that you can go down to learn more about this idea. And so really high level here, break-even ACoS will tell you at what point are you making or losing money with your ad spend. And so a quick example, if 50% is your break-even ACoS, the minute you're at 51%, you're losing money. The minute you're at 49%, you're making money. And then 50%, your break-even would be your break-even, so you're not making any or losing any. And so that's the best way that I can answer this question, because truly, once you know that number, you'll be able to realize, yeah, if your campaign spend is working or not. And it is okay to be over that. Like, we have campaigns that we specifically say it's okay to be like 20 to 30% over that break-even ACoS, because we have other campaigns that we are trying to get well under that break-even ACoS number. And so that when you average out all of the advertising spend, you want it to be under that break-even ACoS, or even right at it. That's okay. In my opinion, the main goal of advertising isn't to be profitable, it's to get sales. Now, there's certain times of the year where you just want to actually dial back and be profitable, and that's a great strategy to employ, short-term or long-term. But my approach is typically to really use advertising as a way to increase my organic ranking, and then hopefully that really pushes my organic rankings up the ladder so that all my sales there, my profitability is way higher than my advertising sales. So then that just means, like, if I get more organic sales than advertising sales, my overall profitability is in a good spot. Hopefully that makes sense. But either way, understand your break-even ACoS and how that relates to your cost of goods sales, because when your costs change, your break-even ACoS changes as well. So go down a rabbit hole, learn about break-even ACoS. I do think it's one of the most valuable phrases to type into Google or YouTube to learn more about. And hopefully we'll make some more content on it. I don't know if we have that much content specifically on that topic. It's typically like nested into some of our advertising content, but we'll try to maybe get some more stuff out there on that topic. I'll write that down, which I already do have written down. We just got to make the video. Yeah, this is a tough one. How do you get an account reactivated after being suspended? This is tough. I don't know how to do it personally. I've never had to do it, thankfully. So the ways are that I'm aware of, hearing from friends and other sellers, is that you could do it yourself. You could ask Amazon what went wrong, what they need to get it reactivated. So you're opening up a seller support ticket or case, and they should have like their own path to like do that for this topic. And then the other way is to hire help, hire people who do this for a living. And I don't know all the companies. There's certainly a lot out there. I think my Amazon guy has a service like that. So Stephen Pope, awesome guy. He makes amazing content on YouTube as well. He might have a program within his company or agency that deals with getting people reactivated. So I would look for companies like that, get some quotes, see how much it would be, because it's probably going to be worth it if it's a long-term thing. If you get your account back. Like, you don't, hopefully you won't run into that issue again. So I would be willing to invest in someone doing it for me, unless it's a simple solution that Amazon can tell you how to fix it. I'd start there first and then maybe hire help. Cool. Let's see here. Maybe I skipped a couple that were earlier up there. So I have an individual account in the US, sell generic products, but can't achieve sell. So maybe you can't sell, like you're just stuck at 0 sales. I have a low budget. How can I make $1,000 monthly profit revenue? So yeah, feel free to clarify this question, because revenue profit would be 2 totally different things. And those are 2 separate goals. If you're just trying to get sales, I'd focus on revenue. And that whole idea there is to get reviews and try to get your listing to look really good. And that way your conversion rate will be a lot better because there's more social proof in your listing. So, and that will go a long way if you get reviews with photos and videos, especially for your conversion rate. Now, if you're talking about profit, how to make $1,000 profit, that is a totally different topic because you need your listing to be in a very good spot first so that you can dial back your ad spend, increase your organic marketing. So maybe you're actually bringing in traffic from off Amazon. Basically, you need to figure out how can you get more organic sales, or how can you really optimize your advertising sales, or spend, I should say, so that those sales are more profitable for you. So yeah, I would try to think about maybe the revenue side first before going into the profit side. And there's definitely a lot of content we have and others have about lowering cost and increasing sales, and how to do that. Okay, we have purchased 200 units for UK for private label. Awesome. But people say that for private label, you need $1,000 or 1,000 units minimum. That's not true. If in the long term, we mentioned this in the very, very beginning of this video. In the long term, your inventory management will be more important, meaning you'll want to avoid going out of stock after your first year or two. And that's all part of like becoming more efficient with your business, making more money, and so making more profit. But in the very beginning, it's okay to order 200 units, sell out, and then order 500 units, sell out, and then order 1,000 units. And then maybe that keeps you in stock long enough to then order more units before that inventory goes out of stock so that you're staying in stock. But in the very beginning, just do it. Don't let the fact that you might go out of stock stop you from starting. It's one of the biggest blockers of getting started that I've seen from new sellers. But it doesn't do any good to worry about something. Like, that's a good problem to have if you go out of stock. Then again, eventually in the future, you want to avoid that by ordering more inventory faster and having the funds that you can do that. So that's going to take some time to do, but don't worry about in the beginning going out of stock. Just get started, do it, and I'll get better from there. Okay, a couple more questions here. Supposed to be in this meeting right now with Lenny, but you know what? I'm talking to my friends, so I'm hanging back for a little bit. All right, how do I change the price percentage of the best deal on Amazon? It's not changing. The maximum remains the same and the minimum. So maybe you're trying to change your list price, perhaps. So like on Amazon, you might see a crossed off price and then the actual price. That crossed off price is your list price. And then the price underneath it is either your sale price or your current price. In order to get that cross off, you actually need to sell that product at that price. Typically, it's probably even just 1 unit, but I would assume maybe a couple more. But once you sell at that price and you actually get sales for, let's say, $40, you can then drop your price to like $35 and you'll get that cross off price. So the biggest thing there, if I'm answering this question correctly, because there's a lot of different ways of lowering your price, you just need to make sure you sell at that price, your list price, enough to allow you to get that cross off. Amazon just wants to make sure you're actually selling at that price. You're not just trying to get that visual representation that the customers are saving money. Okay. David asks, which thanks for still being here, David. I see a lot of familiar people in the chat still that were here in the very beginning of the video, so I appreciate that. David asks, I'm selling a branded product where the listing is a mess. I've added keywords to help improve the listings. What else should I prioritize? Oh, that's a great question. And so we actually just started this YouTube series, which I think you're going to find very valuable. If you just head over to our videos tab, we have 2 videos here. The third one actually comes out, I think, next week. but it's called Amazon Revamped, and we literally just show you exactly how to make a listing way better. And we talk about everything. Like we find these generic products on Amazon that already exist that have horrible listings, and then we actually go through and totally optimize it. Like we increase the amount of keywords on there. So we do title, bullet points, description, turn the description into A+ content. And then we even show you how we would do product photography. And for people who, don't do, actually Lenny's kind of a photography pro, but I'm not, I use Canva. But for us, like we're not professionals in terms of like Amazon product photography. We do a pretty good job of making images and videos even that are way better than the current listing. So I highly recommend watching that series to get a better understanding. It's a fun series. It's meant to be entertaining, but also very educational as well. But the biggest things is your images and videos. Those go a long way in increasing conversion rate. And then your keywords do as well. But the major or the main thing that keywords do is help Amazon understand what your product is, and then ensure that customers, if they do read the bullet points, or they're looking for things like, oh, what comes in the set? What's the size of it? So it is helpful for customers, but it's more helpful for Amazon as like a SEO tool. Yeah, so I would say go and optimize images and videos. That would be the first thing I would do. Add multiple videos too. And start A/B testing your main image and doing a lot of testing there. Yeah. Okay. Can I suggest an alternate of Payoneer and Wise for direct deposit? Yeah, so I assume if you're outside the US, you're trying to use get a hold of a credit card service or a payment service that can work in the US. Payoneer and Wise are two ones that we've used. I unfortunately haven't used any other service, so I couldn't recommend another one just from my experience. But maybe there's some other people here in the chat or in different online threads that could help you find some reliable ones. Yeah, outside of those. Okay. Okay, I see the same questions asked a couple times, but glad I could get your answers in here. I think that's the rest of the questions. If, again, I missed anything, make sure to leave a comment on this video when the live ends with your question, and we'll carry that over into next week's live Q&A in the pre-submitted question section of that video. Thank you guys so much for joining us for another live Q&A Thursday. We got to really brand this series so I can just say something cooler at the end here. But I hope you got a lot of value from this video. If so, let us know by hitting the like button down below. And again, drop your comments below. And yeah, with that said, have a great weekend, guys. And I'll see you next week. Take care.